What's the point, y'all? The point is simply this. Have you discovered the real Jesus? Have you found the real Jesus? We had uncomfortable conversations on Wednesday. I'm going to tell you, we got some great young people in our church. And they spoke awesomely. But Pastor John, he threw out this question. He asked them, what do you do with white Jesus? And my son Solomon made a statement that I told him I was going to steal for this message. He said this. He said, why would you fall in love with what Jesus looked like potentially? He said, you should love Jesus just for who he is. Whoa! I took my shoe off and threw it at the TV. I said, boy, if you didn't preach that there, why in the world would you fall in love with what Jesus potentially looked like? You need to fall in love with who he is. Think about who he is, y'all. If you know him, you'll say, Jesus is my healer. If you know him, you'll say, Jesus is my Savior. If you know him, you'll say, Jesus is my Lord. If you know him, you'll say, he forgave me of my sins. If you know him, you'll say, he's the King of Kings. He's the Lord of Lords. Don't fall in love with what he potentially looked like. Fall in love with who he is. Or if you know him, you'll say, God, he's a wheel in the middle of a wheel. If you know him, you know he justified me. He saved me. God is love. If you know him, you'll say he died for my sins. He arose from the dead. He's sitting at the right hand of the Father. If you know him, you'll say, I know who he is. And I love him, not because of what he potentially looked like. I love him for who he is. And I'm going to tell you, you can't love Jesus unless you know him for yourself. You cannot love Jesus unless you know him for yourself. Does anybody know him in the house? Does anybody know Jesus? Has anybody been sin sick with sin, bound for eternal hell? And one day Jesus stepped in and said, I love you. I died for your sin. Put your trust in me and I'll get you to your destiny. Does anybody know Jesus? The author and finisher of our faith. Does anybody know Jesus? The one who died on the cross and said, it's finished. Does anybody know Jesus? Because if you've fallen in love with what Jesus potentially looked like, you're falling in love with the wrong thing.